A lot has been said about Amorim's system since he arrived. He is clearly system first, players second when it comes to squad building. And so, despite a few good signings this summer and some improvement in performances so far this season, excluding the Grimsby game, obviously, there are still some question marks about the player's suitability for the 3-4-2-1 formation. So, since the transfer window is now closed for another few months and we can't fix those issues, let's do something different and pick the best 11 players from Sir Alex Ferguson's time in Premier League who we think would be perfect in Amorim's system. Okay, so what kind of players does Amorim look for? Is there an archetypal player that he likes, or is every position unique in the specific qualities that are needed? Well, yes and no. Generally, Amorim likes physical, athletic players who can run and press for days, but there are also very specific qualities he likes to have in certain positions. So with that in mind, we'll go through each position and describe some of those qualities and pick a player that ticks those boxes. We'll start with an easy one, the goalkeeper. Amorim doesn't rely too much on his keepers for ball progression. Having 3 centre-backs means there isn't really room for the keeper to push forward and become more involved. A couple of things that are important are aerial ability. Being able to come and collect crosses and take the pressure off the defence is very important. Shot stopping is an obvious one, but one that he prioritises more over other things. Communication is another one that's key. Having someone who can read the game and let his defenders know when they can press or if they need to drop is vital, especially when one of the defenders steps forward, which is a regular occurrence under Amorim. Now, who do we choose? Peter Schmeichel was a very good shot stopper. His aerial ability was very good and his communication was good, although he definitely wasn't the calmest and was prone to the odd mistake. David De Gea was an unbelievable shot stopper, but he had weaknesses in a lot of other areas. The most balanced keeper of Fergie's time was definitely Edwin van der Sar, and so he is our first choice. His height and ability to come and collect a cross was great. He could pick a pass easily, so you wouldn't have to worry about that side of his game either. And his clear, calm communication was a huge factor in United keeping so many clean sheets, including 14 in a row in the Premier League during the 08-09 season. For the right centre-back position, Amorim likes to have a right footer who can play passes through the lines, has enough aggression to be able to step forward and close down attackers who drop into space behind the midfield and shut down any counter-attacks. And also has the pace to deal with balls in behind and cover large amounts of ground in wide areas. If I thought the keeper was an easy one, this is even easier. Rio Ferdinand. Rio literally ticks all the boxes required here. I think he would really have enjoyed playing in this system, and it would have given him a chance to get even further forward at times, supporting the wing back like we see Yoro doing sometimes now. The middle centre back then. This player doesn't need to play progressive passes as much, instead being used more for bounce passes in build-up. They are required to organise the defence around them, however, so good communication is key. Aggression and height and ability to read the game are also important. For this position, I was stuck between 2 players. One is a 2-time Premier League player of the season and an absolute rock in defence, Nemanja Vidic. And the other is another beast of a centre-back and fellow Champions League winner, Jaap Stam. I've gone with Jaap for this position, though, as his pace gives him a slight edge, but really either player would be perfect here. The left centre-back is going to be a controversial one, I think. The main reason is that Amorim does like a left footer here, if possible, and since we're trying to find the best players to fit the system, that's what I'm going to do. And so this position requires the same qualities as the right centre-back: aggression, progressive passing, the ability to cover wide areas. So I've gone with Gabriel Heinze. Obviously not the most popular of former United players, with him trying to force a move to Liverpool before eventually leaving for Real Madrid. Heinze was a very good player though, and his ability on the ball plus his ability to play at either left back or centre back makes him ideal here. And since he was a bit of an idol for Lisandro Martinez, it's possible we wouldn't have Martinez now if we didn't have Heinze. We move on to wing backs, and starting with the right side, Amorim usually likes a left footer here too. And despite trying to stick to Amorim's preferences, as I just said, we don't really have an awful lot of left footers to choose from here. So just bear that in mind. The other qualities required for the wing-back roles are a serious engine, being able to get up and down the full length of the pitch for 90 minutes is a must. Good crossing ability and being able to dribble with the ball is vital, and being able to beat a man 1v1 is useful too. So on the right side, I've gone with Antonio Valencia. We obviously had a few choices here with the likes of Gary Neville, Raphael, and even David Beckham potentially working in this position. But I feel like Valencia ticks more of the boxes, and to be honest, it's probably the position that would have suited him more than right wing or right back did. On the left side then, we also have a few good options, including Ashley Young, who won the league in Italy as a wing back, but was just a backup winger really when he played under Fergie. And the ever reliable Mr. Consistent himself, Dennis Irwin, who was one of my favourite players growing up. But I've gone with Patrice Evra for his speed, his athleticism, his good crossing, and his overall defensive skills. Onto the midfield now, and what does Amorim want here? 6 and an 8 is the simplest way to put it, but let's dig into those a bit more. The number 6 needs to be a ball winner, someone who can read the game, break up play, stop counterattacks, take the ball from the defence and progress the ball quickly through the lines. Sounds more like an all-rounder that we need for this position, and that has to be Roy Keane. He would be the perfect number 6 for Amorim. He likes to take the ball from the defence and move the ball forward quickly. He could play the ball between the lines and find the number 10s, or fire long passes over the top for the wing backs and lock everything else down to make sure United always stay on the attack. The number 8 then is a box-to-box player ideally. Someone who is good on the ball, can take the ball and progress it quickly, who can dictate the tempo and arrive in the box for late cutbacks and second balls. Now, I've gone with Paul Scholes here because, well, it's Paul Scholes. He played at a 6, an 8 and a 10 in various parts of his career, so he can do a bit of everything. And with Roy Keane beside him, he'd have cover whenever he went forward. Where you could argue against Scholes is his athleticism. He isn't a lung-busting runner, and he wasn't known for his pace. So we could be open to being overrun, as we are at the moment, to be honest, with him as a number 8. However, Scholes had the ability to read the game like no other, and that helped him when playing in a 2-man midfield for much of his United career, so I think he'd be fine. I do want to give a mention to Brian Robson though, as he could have been the perfect number 8 for this system, but by the time the Premier League came around, Robbo was nearing the end of his career, so it has to be Scholesy. The 2 number 10 positions are absolutely vital to this system, and it's become so much clearer why that is since Cunha and Mbeumo come in. Mbeumo? The ability to be able to receive the ball in tight spaces between the lines, dribble with the ball, create chances for others, and of course score goals is so important. Last season we only had Ahmad that suited the right 10 position, and on the left Garnacho wasn't really able to receive the ball in tight spaces or with his back to goal, so we were extremely limited. Luckily in Fergie's time we had many players who could do those things, and so I've gone with Wayne Rooney on the left. Rooney loved to drop deep and get on the ball and feel a part of the game, preferring this to being up front on his own. He would drift out to the left half space, giving him a great angle to either score or create chances. His dribbling through the middle is something we didn't see a lot of in his later years, but peak Rooney had the pace and skill and strength to beat players and drag the team forward, very similar to what Cunha does now. He was also hard-working and willing to press and would drop in when needed defensively. And again, he's another player I think would have absolutely loved this system. On the right, Amorim again likes a left footer here, someone who can cut in and get a shot or cross away. He wants this player to be able to come deep and pick up the ball, but also be able to stretch the defending team by running in behind. For this position, I've gone with Ryan Giggs. Now, Giggs didn't really like to play on the right, but he did play centrally a lot during his career, either behind the striker or in midfield later. So he was accustomed to receiving the ball in tight spaces and dribbling out of trouble. His electric pace made him a terror for defenders, and he was always a willing runner and hard worker for the team. He didn't have the strength that Mbeumo has, but he has pretty much everything else and more. And finally, the striker. This was a really tough one, and by now you can see there are several players that have been left out so far that could either play here or elsewhere in the team. But we have to look at what's required from an Amorim striker before we can decide on who would work best. The striker needs to be a ruthless finisher first off. They need to be able to run in behind and stretch teams. They need to be strong and be able to hold up the ball and offer an out ball for defenders when needed. They need to be able to link play with speed so as not to slow down attacks. And if they can be a threat in the air, all the better. Again, this is another position in Amorim's system where the archetype needs to be kind of perfect. So who do we have to choose from? We haven't mentioned Cantona yet, and what can you say about him? The King of Old Trafford was an amazing player, but I don't think he would tick all of those boxes. Cantona would be more of a false 9 or a 10 in this system, so we'll overlook him for now. Andy Cole was an unbelievable striker, but more of a run-in-behind player rather than an all-rounder. Ruud van Nistelrooy was a clinical poacher. He could read the game and he always found space in the box, but he relied on others creating chances for him and left a lot of work for his teammates to do. So you've probably guessed it by now, but I'm going with Cristiano Ronaldo. While Ronaldo definitely left work for his teammates to do, he made up for it with blistering pace and ability. He could drop deep and get on the ball and turn defences in seconds, and his strength meant he was a handful for defenders and he could score any type of goal imaginable. He could easily swap positions with Rooney or Giggs, meaning the front three could be fluid and rotate, which is something Amorim also likes. So there we go. The best Fergie players for Amorim's system. Or what I think anyway. What do you reckon? Should Giggs be played a left wing back instead? Should Cantona be in the team? Probably. Is there anyone else you would have, or have I got it completely wrong? Let me know in the comments below and give the video a like and a share if you enjoyed it, and subscribe too if you haven't already. And I'll be back with more videos like this soon.